So let me introduce our next speaker. Camille Turner is an artist, and people might call her a multidisciplinary artist or a social arts practicing artist or a digital media artist, and depending on how you want to categorize her. She's also a cultural producer and a curator, and she happens to be Rachel's mentor as well. So without further ado, please give a round of applause for Camille Turner. Out of the way? Okay, great. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I always balk when someone asks me to introduce myself because I wear many hats. I'm going to talk a little bit about my practice and all the different things that I do, but I'm going to focus more on my performance art practice because that's, I guess that's the way most people know me, is through the performance art. So I graduated from OCAD back in 1993, just down the street when it was still OCA. And it was, back then, an amazingly open place. I was in a program that was called General Studies. And General was fantastic. Basically, you could take whatever you wanted, but you couldn't take more than 3 subjects from each program, which suited me fine. So it was like a playground. I got to take all kinds of different things, from surface design on fabric to filmmaking to mold making, all kinds of different things. So it was fantastic. And that kind of openness really kind of typifies what I do now. Back in the days, maybe I should stick to my script. Okay, oh yeah, one of the things that I learned early in my career from just going to galleries was that most of the people that went to galleries were artists. And I realized that I was not interested in just speaking to artists. I wanted my work to go out there. I wanted it to live in the real world. And so I looked around for different models for artists that were doing that. Next slide, please. And I came across this book. And this book was kind of my Bible. It's Susie Gablik is a cultural theorist, and she talked about people that were working in the environmental movement, artists that were doing environmental work. And there was one artist, for instance, who went around and shook every garbage man in New York's hand and thanked them for keeping New York City alive. And another artist who cleaned a river. So every day she would clean junk out of the river, and she kept a blog. Well, back in the days it wasn't blogs, it was a journal. She journaled everything that she took out of the river. And that, for me, it taught me a couple of things. One, art does not have to be an object. And 2, art can be a social kind of it can be something that's an action, and also basically it can be something useful. And there's this whole adage about, you know, the difference between craft and art. Craft is something useful, so then art is something not useful. So I really loved this book because it talked about, you know, the usefulness of art. And so that's what I try to infuse in the work that I do. Where am I? Okay, so there are, I guess, 3 different streams in my work. So I'll talk about the 3 different streams. So the next slide, please. Okay, one of the streams is electronic media. I curate electronic media, and I came into that because back in the day, I was looking around for, you know, where are the open spaces? And one of the open spaces was the web. This is when the web first started. So back in 1996, myself and Michael Alstad, who is a fellow artist, started up Year 01. And we were one of the first digital collectives in Canada that basically we functioned online. And the web was like, it was like the wild frontier back then. And you know, it's a space that's outside of the controlled kind of gallery art space. It was a space that was open, it interconnected with all kinds of different worlds, and you could really reach into all kinds of different public spaces and private spaces too. So it was a great playground. And so we started curating on the web. And we've since graduated to all kinds of digital public spaces, spaces that are basically taken up by advertising. Dundas Square, one of the most media-rich, it is the most media-rich space, media-saturated space in Canada. There is a video billboard there that we programmed for a year, and basically created a space amidst all the ads for artists to put their work. So that was one of the interventions that we did. But we do all kinds of different things. Michael programmed a show at the airport, actually using the data streams that flow through us all the time and giving them to artists so that they can create work that would be then shown to people visiting the airport. So this particular one, oops, sorry, what you just saw there was 15 Seconds of Fame. That was the very first one that we did. So that was a video billboard up at Yonge and Eglinton. Okay. And another thing that I'm involved in is next. Okay, is the Subtle Technologies Festival. And Jen Dodd is actually here. She's the general manager of Subtle Technologies. I curate the exhibitions for Subtle, and I've been with them since the beginning, since 1996 when we started. One of the things I like to do as a curator is to work with scientists and social scientists and bring their work into art spaces. So this was a collaboration I did with a medical anthropologist, Monir Moniruzzaman. He did a study of the whole organ trade, the illegal organ trade in kidneys in Bangladesh. So he followed 33 kidney sellers who basically sold their kidneys in order to feed their families. And it was quite a story. And the thing is, usually these kind of stories get told, on a podium in a lecture, and really never, we don't get to hear these stories, and not in the way that this was told. So basically, I commissioned a work with him and put together a team of artists and designers to create this really beautiful and powerful space where you could actually interact with the stories.